Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on the horror of Dolores Roach. A new take on, I guess you'd call it a new take on the Sweeney Todd. Yeah, the Sweeney Todd thing. You know, where Sweeney Todd was the barber who killed people. And then there was a meat pie place below his barber shop where the woman made meat pies, except this is a woman who does massages and then kills people, and a guy makes empanadas out of them. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 11, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. This is supposed to be a TV series. I don't think it would be a good TV series. I think it would have been a good movie, maybe, because it would be a different take on Sweeney Todd, essentially. But a series, maybe a limited series, but it starts July 7th. I don't see how you could sustain it. And the problem with TV is this. If it's a hit, they want to keep doing it. So they'll do another season, and another season, and another season, and another season. If it's not a hit, then it ends. But, like, it'll never end, in my view, appropriately. I mean, there's a couple of upsides. The upside is Marc Maron's the first victim. he gets killed. But let's go through the premise. The premise of the series is Dolores was sent to prison for possession. I guess that's why her last name's Roach. And I guess she did 16 years, and she finally gets out of prison, and she has nothing. She has nowhere to work. She's desperate for a gig. And she starts to do massages for $20. And it starts to work out. Finally, her life's in order. And then Marc Maron shows up and starts complaining. And he's perfect in this role as a guy who's trying to enforce the rules because he's just a D-bag. I gotta say, he hits the right note. So she's giving him a massage, and then he makes a pass at her because he assumes it's going to be a dirty massage. And then she reacts and kills him. Which, you know, in movie terms, that's justifiable. In real life terms, of course, that's extreme. Very extreme. But in movie terms, you can see it happening. So she's got to get rid of the body. And a lot of this is happening in the first episode. So she goes to get rid of the body, and her, I don't know if this is her brother or whatever, but she decides to cut up the body, and she doesn't know what she's doing. She buys a bunch of stuff. She sees cameras, and then buys some balloons to kind of cover it up. But so she buys all this stuff, and she can't get rid of the body, so she goes to her brother, and then he, I guess it's her brother, comes up with the idea, oh, we'll put the meat in the pies. And then, of course, everybody loves them, and he's laughing, and nobody can find Marc Maron. So eventually the cops show up, and eventually she ends up killing other people. Here he is cutting up the guy for meat. I don't really see it as a sustainable series. I don't see it as a comedy, really. It's really more of a horror movie. It's not very funny. Like, the whole point of comedy, newsflash, is it has to be funny. Like, none of the trailers funny. It's not bad. I kind of like it. I mean, I like horror, but it's definitely more horror than it is comedy. I mean, I guess because Marc Maron's a D-bag and she kills him, that's kind of funny, I guess. But I mean, that's like, 90 points 90 points horror and 10% comedy. And then a line in the trailer is like, I don't want to become a serial killer. Well, she clearly is, and it kind of doesn't go along with her deal, right? She's an ex-con trying to stay out of prison, and then she kills a guy. Her first move probably shouldn't be to keep killing people. Probably her first move shouldn't have been to kill Marc Maron. But I mean, they do put her in a position where you could see it kind of. I mean, it's not a bad script, but it's definitely marketed wrong. A comedy? It's not funny. It's kind of creepy. I mean, it's light. It's a light comedy. It's comedy horror, but barely comedy. I would market it horror comedy. Um, but I mean, maybe the first season, but in this day and age, there'd be no way you could get away with this. No way. And look, just from a practical standpoint, sure, he can cook up all the meat he wants, stick it in the empanadas, and it's gone. What's he going to do with the skeletons? He's got to get rid of them. So, I mean, beyond the practicality of this, which to me isn't very practical because it's a lot of meat on a human body, and a lot you'd probably have to do so people wouldn't notice it's human meat, I'm guessing. It wouldn't taste weird enough that people go, what's going on with this empanada? You'd have to, and her brother would have to be the really crazy one. She seems to be barely kind of on board with this. But it's a nice take on the Sweeney Todd stuff. It's a different take. But I would have went with a movie or a limited series. 6 episodes, maybe you could stretch this out to. Maybe a season, maybe 10. After that, I mean, come on. They're gonna get caught. What is the funny that we're dragging out of this? Right? There's not a lot of funny here to be mined from a woman who's killing more and more people, and then her brother, I'm assuming, her brother who's serving it. I mean, where do you go with that? Do you have an episode where they're, I don't know, the elevator episode like in every sitcom? Oh, we're trapped in an elevator. Can't cannibalize anybody. Do you have the episode where they go on vacation and kill someone? Like, it doesn't really work as a series. Amazon, I don't know what you're doing. Like Jack Reacher, totally 100% works. Like Reacher, the Reacher series could be a movie, or like it is, like a mini series. Like they break down the book into a mini series. That makes a lot of sense. I don't think this is based after anything other than Sweeney Todd. And I'm sure there's cool references to Sweeney Todd in this, although I don't see any of them. They're not singing, so it's not a musical. I would watch probably the first episode, but then after that I'd be like, how are you going to keep stringing this along? Like, once the cops show up to look for Marc Maron and there's any tie to him being in this place, and this appears to be an urban environment, I think there'd be no way that they could get off, if the cops really looked for him, they'd probably have footage of him going inside the business and never coming out. So how do you explain that? Right? They'd know he never came out of the building. But you could address it in a sort of satire-y way, like, they don't really care about Marc Maron, he was a jerk anyway. They're just kind of going through the motions. They don't even check the security camera. They just need to close the case somehow, and then maybe they do. But that would be one guy. Other people disappear, that's a whole different story. I mean, once you get 2 or 3 people who disappeared in this place where she's doing massages, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I've been addressing this in my most recent screenplay with regard to a city environment and lots of cameras. So, it is it's a difficult proposition to commit a lot of crimes in an urban environment these days. You are under almost constant security surveillance, whether it's from private businesses or just the city itself. The city has cameras almost everywhere, at every intersection, in most street corners. Certainly in a city like Camden near me. So it would be nearly impossible for her to get away with this. But I mean, from a high concept, it's not bad. I'd give it one season, and then I would, it could become tiresome by episode 2, 3, or 4, quite frankly. So anyhow, The Horror of Dolores Roach, the new series on Amazon. Again, I would say it's more horror than comedy because you are murdering people. But would I watch it? I might watch the first episode to see just how long they're going to string this out. Maybe 2 if it was really good and funny. But I don't see it being funny. I see it being more like, she's going to get caught. And then them sort of putting that off and putting that off and putting that off and putting that off until, I don't know, until the money runs out. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more based takes. We've got more based takes. You should take them. I will be at the Philadelphia Comic Book Show, the monthly show, over in Essington, PA, outside of Philadelphia, this Sunday from 10 to 4. Looking very excited for that. So I hope to see you there, and we'll see you in the next one.